Hi, second grade friends. So this is this week's reading lesson. You should be watching this on Monday, April 27th. We are going to be doing story elements again this week so that we can review it Wednesday during our Zoom meetings. I wanted to do a couple announcements with you before we get into the lesson. A reminder that you should be reading 30 minutes a day, whether that's personal books, whether you're getting online and going on YouTube, whether you're doing reading A to Z Kids, Raz Kids, like the ones I've sent you. If you're doing storylineonline.net or you're just watching books on YouTube, you should be reading 30 minutes a day all week. That's just my first announcement. On iReady, you should be getting on at least Tuesday, Thursday for 30 minutes. Make sure you are doing both math and reading. A lot of you are getting on and you're just doing one subject and you're ignoring the other one. So even if you love math, you still got to do the reading. And even if you love reading, you still got to do the math. Make sure you're doing the blue lessons on the left-hand side of your screen that our teacher assigned. Every week there's going to be new ones from the teachers. The green ones you can do after you get done the blue ones if you want to. That's up to you. A reminder too, teachers can see how long you've been on. So if you're getting on but you're not doing the lessons, it's not logging any time for you. So you need to make sure you're getting on and actually doing the lessons. We do get a timestamp that tells us if you've been on. So make sure you're getting on. Let's see if there's any other announcements. And whatever we do today in reading with the story elements, make sure you bring the answers to Wednesday's Zoom. Make sure during math, whatever Miss Clapp asks you to do for math this week, you bring those practice problems with you to our meeting so we can go over them. And whatever writing Miss Clothier has us doing this week, you bring an example so we can go over it. Also, make sure you're paying attention to the phonics lessons, the assignments we're sending you on reading, or not reading aid to say, on iReady. We're going to send you a phonics lesson every week. Last week was short and long A and short and long I. So we went over that during our Zoom meeting. Make sure this week that you come ready to go over the phonics assignment we're sending you this week on vowels. Okay, so stay tuned because that will be up there as well. So might want to consider doing reading maybe on Tuesdays. Might want to consider doing math maybe on Thursdays on iReady. Just a thought. Okay, so that's it for my announcements. Let's get into today's lesson, which is on story elements. A reminder that story elements are characters, setting, problem, and solution. So what does that mean? As a reminder, a character is who is doing the action in the story. Now, characters can be people, they can be animals, they can be talking things. Like in Disney movies especially, they will make characters, talking cars, or there could be a talking toaster. And we've read stories this year where we've had talking pencils. So whoever is doing the action in the story, those are the characters. Setting. Where and when does the story take place? Now, just like in real life, settings can, will, and should change. So in the beginning of the story, they might be home, but as the story goes on, they might be at someone's house, they might be at school, they might be in a car ride, they might be going to the mall. It depends on the story. But settings change, and usually they do in the story. It's rare that you find a story where they're not changing settings. Problem. What does the character want, need, or think but can't get? So that's what's going wrong in the story. All good fiction stories will have a problem. Something that needs to be solved or corrected. Solution. Most authors like to end books on a happy note. They won't leave us hanging. Solutions are how does the character get what they want or need, or how does their thinking change? So this is when the problem gets solved. Like I said, this is going to apply to fiction stories. Fiction stories are not real, though sometimes they can be realistic where it seems like it could be real, but the characters are in fact not real. We can't go visit them or call them. So this applies to fiction stories. So when we practice story elements today, and when you practice it this week on your own, you have to make sure you're doing a fiction story. We will get into nonfiction in 2 weeks, but for now, concentrate on fiction stories, pretend stories where it couldn't happen. Talking animals, people that are not actually real, talking things. Look for those types of stories. Okay, so for story elements today, in class, we use the story elements graphic organizer that has character, setting, problem, and solution. You're not going to have this at home, which is fine. You take a piece of paper, does not matter what the paper is, line paper, unlined paper, construction paper, and I mean, this is scrap paper for me. I just flipped it over. I'm sorry, you can probably see through it a little bit with the sun, but I drew 4 boxes. There's a spot in here for characters, setting, problem, solution. Now you can go back and copy the words, or you can put a C for characters, an S for setting, P for problem, and maybe SO for solution, so you're not getting setting and solution mixed up, okay? Now, my example I'm going to do with you is, last week we read Frog and Toad Are Friends. I read you the chapter about the lost button. So I'm going to do that as my example today. So I already started to fill out my story elements chart while I was waiting to get on here. And my characters from last week, if you remember, were Frog and Toad, obviously, but there were also a few supporting characters that had talking roles in the story. Now, if the character doesn't talk in the story, probably not going to write them down as character, but these characters did talk. There was a sparrow, that bird, and a raccoon. So in the character box, I put Frog, Toad, sparrow, and raccoon. I just listed them. You don't need to write that in a sentence in that box. For setting, again, you're going to make a list of where they were. They went a lot of places looking for Toad's lost button. They went to the meadow, just like a big open field. They went to the woods. They went to the river, and then they went back to Toad's house. So in the setting box, I just put everything I just listed: the meadow, woods, river, Toad's house, okay? And I wrote at the top, Frog and Toad Are Friends. I forgot to say that. So when you do your book, you might want to plop the title on the top so you remember which you did the story elements for. Now the problem in the story: what does the character want, need, or think but can't get? In this story, Toad lost the button off of his coat and he couldn't find it, even with Frog's help. Remember, they went on a grand search for it. So there, I wrote it out. Now in this box, you're going to want to write a complete sentence with a period on the end. Can't really make a list for this. You want to put whole sentence, or you can even say the problem was, and whatever the problem was. That'll be an easy way for you to figure out how to start and do a sentence starter. Solution: how does the character get what they want or need, or how does their thinking change? So in this story, Toad's button was at his house the whole time. It wasn't actually lost. So he made a jacket as a present for Frog, trying to help him find it to apologize for all the trouble he caused him. So I fit that in. Now for this box, I had a couple sentences because I had to explain how he fixed his problem of finding the button that was not lost, and then what he did to try to make up for it, which was make a jacket. So problem and solution box, you're probably going to want to put in sentences. The problem was, the solution was, and then finish it. Make sure there's a period on the end. So that was my example story. Now, when you come to Zoom on Wednesday, you're going to want to take a piece of paper. And like I said, 4 boxes. C for characters, S for setting, P for problem, SO for solution, or you can actually write the words out, up to you. Might want to put the name of the book you're doing it for at the top. Make sure it's fiction, pretend story. And we're going to do it for this story called The Berenstein Bears and the Trouble with Friends. We've read this in class before. If you do not want to use the story, Reading A to Z, books you have at home, YouTube, storylineonline.net, okay? Those are good choices. Fiction story. Okay, so let's get started. The Berenstein Bears and the Trouble with Friends. So I'm going to hold the book and read to you, and then I will show you the picture so it looks less crazy on camera, okay? Sister and brother bear, who lived with their mama and papa in the big tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country, were not only sister and brother, they were playmates, and they got along pretty well, most of the time. There they are playing together. But brother was quite a lot older than sister, almost 2 years older, and sometimes he wasn't much interested in playing the games she wanted to play, especially when sister got a little bossy, which she sometimes did. Any of you guys have a bossy older brother or sister that doesn't want to play all the time your games? They say you're too little. It's kind of what brother bear is doing to sister bear. All right, so now, she said one day as he came out of that tree house with a big armload of dolls and toys and stuffed animals, we're going to play tea party, she said. You sit down and you'll be the papa, and I'll sit here and I'll be the mama. "Aw, Jesus," said brother, "I'm too old to play tea party. What if Cousin Freddie or any of the guys saw me? I'd never hear the end of it. Why don't you find somebody your own age to play tea party with?" Not much interested. Make sure you're listening for character, setting, problem, and solution on this. "Besides, I have a date to go play skateboarding with Freddie." And off he zoomed, leaving sister all by her lonesome. "All right for you," she shouted. Not exactly happy that her brother didn't want to play with her. "Oh dear," said Mama, who was watching from the treehouse window. "There goes brother off to play with Freddie again. I do wish sister had somebody her own age to play with." "What about her school friends?" said Papa, pointing out the window. So they are watching what's happening from the inside. They all live too far away, said Mama, as she watched Lonesome Sister pick up her trusty jump rope and start jumping with a friendly frog. Soon a butterfly joined in. She has her forest friends, the frogs and the butterflies, to play with, said Papa. Frogs and butterflies are all very well, said Mama, but they're not the same as having a cub friend your own age. Sounds like a problem. That's when Mama saw the moving truck out of the corner of her eye. Look, she said, a new family's moving into that empty tree house down the street. It certainly would be nice if they had a cub sister's age. So maybe the new one's moving in. We'll have a friend Sister can play with. Sister saw the truck too, and the car following it. Somebody's moving into that empty treehouse, she said. I wonder if they have any cubs. And off she skipped down the road to investigate. I wonder if there's anybody her own age she can play with. We'll find out. The truck stopped at the empty house, and the moving bearers began to unload it. The car pulled in behind the truck, and a new family got out. There was a mama, a papa, and a little girl that looked like she was just about Sister's age. Sister could hardly believe her good luck. Just what she needed, a little girl cub to jump rope, play tea party in house and school, and have all kinds of cub fun with. She could hardly wait to say hello. She skipped over and introduced herself. So there she is skipping rope, and there's the family unpacking, and there's the little girl that's Sister's age. Hi, I'm Sister Bear. I'm 6 years old, and I live just down the road. Hi, said the new cub. I'm Lizzie Bruin, and this is my papa and my mama, Mr. and Mrs. Bruin. I'm 6 years old, too. May I try your jump rope? I can do red hot pepper. And could she ever? Lizzie Bruin was the fastest jump rope her sister had ever seen. Somebody to play with, finally. I can jump to 1,000, said Sister. I can jump to 1,001, said Lizzie, handing back the rope. I mean, I can go to 1,002, snapped Sister. 1,003, said Lizzie. Well, we'll just see about that. Let's have a jump off right here, right now, said Sister. Let's not and say we did, said Lizzie. Say, isn't that a playground over there? Last one there's a rotten egg. And off she ran with Sister right behind her, trying to catch up. Sounds like they're showing off a little bit. Well, said Mama, who had been watching from the window, that new cub certainly is a lively little thing. She may be just what Sister needs. Sister and Lizzie had quite an afternoon. They climbed to the top of the jungle gym. They rode the seesaw. Seems like they're having a good time, right? They pushed each other on the swings. They played tag. They laughed and giggled. They rolled down a grassy bank, which is a hill, and picked wildflowers for their mamas. All kinds of fun things going on. Why, thank you, Sister. How lovely, said Mama, putting her wildflowers in water. Well, what's your new friend like? Her name is Lizzie. She's 6 years old. She's an only cub, said Sister, and she's a little bit bossy. Oh, said Mama. Well, you certainly seem like you were having fun. Oh, yes, said Sister. I had a lot of fun, but she's a little bossy and a little braggy. Braggy is like when you boast about something. You think you're better at something than someone else. The next morning, bright and early, the phone rang. It was Sister's new friend, Lizzie. Seems like they still want to hang out with each other. Call and see if she wants to come play. Any of you guys do that? When we're not in quarantine, call your friend and say, hey, you want to come meet me outside? Want to come over and play school, said Lizzie. Okay, said Sister. Bring some of your dolls and your stuffed animals, said Lizzie, because mine aren't unpacked yet. So Sister gathered up some of her favorite dolls and stuffed animals and headed for the treehouse down the road. Come on in here, called Lizzie from the garage. My mama and papa are still fixing up and putting away things, so we'll have to play in here. Who'd you bring? My best doll and some stuffed animals, said Sister. And this is my special teddy bear that I've slept with every night since I was a baby. Lizzie had set up the garage like a classroom. There were boxes for the pupils to sit on. Pupils are students. And there was another box for the teacher's desk. There was even a blackboard and chalk for lessons. That seems like fun, right? Did any of you guys ever play school? I used to make my little brother do that. This is going to be fun, thought Sister Bear, as she began setting up her toys on boxes. That's when she heard a rapping sound. It was Lizzie. She was tapping on the desk. She had pretend pointer in one hand and a piece of chalk in the other one. Seems like she wants to be the teacher, right? Sister looks a little shocked. Please be seated, Sister. It's time for your lessons. Today, I'm going to teach you the alphabet. The first letter of the alphabet is... Now, just a minute, protested Sister. Who said you were going to be the teacher? When I play school, I'm the teacher. And not only that, I already know my ABCs. Sister Bear, if you don't sit down right this minute, I'm going to keep you after school, said Lizzie. Is that so? Shouted Sister. Well, if you don't give me that pointer, I'm going to keep you after school. Uh-oh. First fight. Fighting over who's going to be the teacher. That's when Sister grabbed the pointer. Soon they were rolling around on the floor, wrestling for the pointer, which broke in two. Now look what you did, shouted Lizzie. You broke my best pointer. And they were having their little argument. All over who to be teacher. I'm not ever going to play with you ever again, shouted Sister. She gathered up her toys. I'm going to take my dolls, and I'm going home. Sister's mad, and I'm glad, shouted Lizzie, as Sister marched out the garage. Lizzie's in a tizzy, Sister shouted back. Not being very nice to each other, right? Back so soon? Asked Mama when Sister returned into the house like a storm cloud. I'm never going to play with that Lizzie Bruin again, shouted Sister. She's much too braggy and too bossy. I don't need her to play school or anything else. It's much better playing by yourself anyway. When you play by yourself, you can do what you want when you want without having to worry about anybody else being anybody but the teacher. I don't want to ever worry about that Lizzie Bruin again. Well, that's true, said Mama in a quiet voice. Of course, there are some things you can't do by yourself. Wonder how they're going to solve this problem. Like what? Asked Sister. Well, you'd have a pretty hard time pushing yourself on a swing, wouldn't you, said Mama. And I'd like to see you ride a seesaw by yourself. Most games like hopscotch and jacks take at least 2 people to play. And it's certainly nice to have someone to laugh and giggle with. She's reminding Sister of all the good times. And what's good about having a friend? Maybe so, said Sister, but Lizzie's much too braggy and she's too bossy. Why does she have to be the teacher when we play school? It seems to me, said Mama, taking Sister on her lap, that Lizzie isn't the only cub that can be a little bit braggy and a little bit bossy sometimes. And of course, there's one thing you can do much better by yourself. What's that, Mama? Be lonesome, said Mama quietly. And that's when somebody knocked on the door. I wonder who's at the door. It was Lizzie, and she was carrying Sister's teddy. When Sister took all her dolls and went home, she forgot her teddy, she said. And well, I knew it was her special favorite, and I knew she slept with it every night since she was a baby, and I thought maybe she might miss it. Why, thank you, Lizzie, said Mama. That was very thoughtful of you. Thank you very much, said Sister, hugging her teddy. And you can be the teacher if you want to, said Lizzie. Or, said Sister, we could take turns being the teacher. Terrific, said Lizzie. Well, it sounds like they solved their problem. Great, said Sister. She gathered up her doll and stuffed animals again. Last one back to your garage is a rotten egg. There they go off to play again. And off she scooted, laughing and giggling with Lizzie scampering behind her. Well, I hope you liked that story. Your job is going to take a piece of paper, 4 squares. You can put at the top the Berenstein Bears and the Trouble with Friends. We'll zoom out. You can pause right there so you can copy it. C for characters, S for setting, P for problem, SO for solution. Go ahead and tell me what they are. Bring your answers to Wednesday's Zoom. We'll see you then. Love you guys. Bye.